What's up, guys? This is Brian, the vape slinger from Vintage Vapors of Knoxville. I'm just going to do a quick tutorial video on basic rebuilds for all you drippers and rebuilders out there that can't make it to our rebuild classes. So I definitely wanted to not exclude you guys out and give you a little help and show you the ropes and get everything rolling down the road for you for as far as using rebuildables. Before we get into the rebuilding session, I just want to go over the basics of it, as far as using mechanicals, rebuildables, and the safety of using those two together. First, I want to go through and show you the atomizer, which is also referred to as a RDA, rebuildable dripping atomizer. This is a Nimbus clone, slightly modified, but I'm sure everybody, if you're wanting to get into dripping, has seen something similar or one of these. Alright, this is the drip tip that I'm using. It's a brass muffler tip, wide bore, makes it very simple for dripping. You don't have to remove the top cap or have to take the drip tip out. You can just drip straight down through it. It makes it a lot easier when you're out and about. Now this part here that I'm about to take off is the top cap. That is what is tapered and allows the vapor to come up to the 510 drip tip. It has your airflow on the side. This one has been modified and slotted for more airflow, but that is the basic of the top cap there. Alright, and the main and fun part. This is the base of your RDA. As you can see there are 3 little shiny posts. There are 2 coils on there that I have built, and the rest of that little fluffy, nasty looking stuff you see in there is cotton. Some people like cotton, some people like to use silica. I think the cotton I get a better flavor, a little more vapor off of it. The bad thing about cotton is if you vape it dry, it is the worst taste you will ever taste in your life. It will make you gag, choke, dry your mouth out. I mean, it is the most awful feeling. If you're comfortable with where you know how many drips, how many hits you can get, cotton is the best way. Not saying that you're never going to get a dry hit on cotton. I still do it from time to time myself, just because I have about 2 to 3 devices in rotation, because I'm weird like that. The next thing we are going to discuss is the mechanical device. This is a matte finished Nemesis clone. It's got the pretty little angel there on that side, wielding the dual sickles, it looks like, and then on this side it's got the Nemesis. You can't read that, this camera sucks. And this is the bottom fire button here. You press that, it activates it. It has the locking ring, maybe. Screw that down, that button cannot be pressed. And that is good for when you set it down on a table, or if you put it in your pocket. It's not going to fire constantly, burn up your atomizer, or pop your battery. This is the 510 female connection for where you screw into your RDAs or RBAs, or even just regular claromizers or cartomizers. Alright, and now the next part I'm going to show you is where the battery is. Inside here, there is the firing pin. Alright, this is the major part of it. Now, if you're rebuilding and you're using regular IMRs, 2200 or 2000 IMRs, as long as you're not sub-ohming extreme to blowing the massive clouds. Anything, I would recommend anything 8 ohms or higher, like 1.0, 1.5, anything in that range would be safe on an IMR. I wouldn't recommend going below 1.0 on an IMR just due to the fact that it can vent the battery due to that they are not protected. If you are going to be sub-ohming, cloud chasing, anything of that nature, please do your research. Because whenever you're sub-ohming, your batteries is the main thing that can cause harm. If you're using something that is 3400 milliamp battery and only has a 7 amp discharge, and you're putting 0.5 or 0.2 ohm on it, it is gonna cause damage. It is gonna get hot, and I mean, I can't say for sure what is gonna happen. I just don't recommend doing it. This is a Sony 2000 milliamp battery, and it is a 30 amp battery. And 30 amp discharge is perfect for sub-ohming. Like I said, please do your research. I will post up some information where you can find your battery information, what your amp discharge rating is, what is safe ohm levels. Go to the Ohm's Law calculator.com. There is also an Android app for it. I'm not sure about the iPhone, but it is. There are a few different Ohm's Law apps which will allow you to calculate in your resistance level, your ohm level of your coil, and calculate in what type, like what your battery voltage is, and it will tell you what the amp limit is that it is safe to run at, and it will also tell you what the wattage is that it is pushing out of that battery. That is, I could probably talk all day on battery safety, because that is probably the biggest key to rebuildables, is knowing your battery safety and knowing where your build safety is. Now, there are also a couple of safety tips on rebuilding. We will get into that when we get to the rebuilding session. Then next thing is if you're not comfortable with rebuilding, or you're kind of scared of getting into it, go to your local vape store. I'm sure that there are plenty of knowledgeable reps that will be able to help you or explain it better firsthand, showing you rebuild these. Or RDAs, or rebuildable atomizers, Genesis tanks, anything of that nature. Something you want to get into. I don't refrain from telling anybody to, no, you shouldn't do that. I actually probably encourage it more, just due to the fact that I love doing it. When I first started doing this, I was using the pin style twist, Ego C twist, with I was actually using the CE4s that came with the starter kits back then, but I did step up tremendously, probably advanced a lot quicker than I expected. But I haven't turned back. I do from time to time get lazy a little bit, fill up a cartomizer tank, vape it all day. But the rebuildables is what I like to do. Alright, so I will stop rambling about that, and we will move on to the rebuilding session. If you have any questions or anything like that, you can definitely stop by Vintage Vapors or go to your local vape store. You can also shoot me an email at vapeslinger@gmail.com. Or you can send it to our page at the Vintage Vapors knox@gmail.com. Alright, so let's get on to the rebuilding session. Alright, so rebuilding portion. I don't know why I like that word, but rebuilding just sounds fun, sounds funny. But this is the fun part. Alright, so I'm just going to show you a few of the basic tools that you're going to need to doing your rebuildables. I do have my trusty battery box there with the MNKE 2000 milliamp 20 amp battery, along with the Sony 30 amp battery in there as well. I've got my Nimbus top cap along with the bottom cap here. As you can see, there is the bottom cap. It's got the 3 holes in the posts. Some rebuildables have 3 posts, some do have 2. If you don't have the ones with the holes in the posts, I can also go over one of the basic like small RDAs, smoke RDA with the dual posts. They have the holes in the posts, but I can also show you how to wrap the screws around these, wrap the wire around the screws. Alright, let's see if we can get this straight this morning. Alright, I've got my 30 gauge Kanthal wire there, and I also do have 2mm silica, some cotton. I do recommend using organic cotton that is non-bleached. It could be whitened with peroxide. There is stuff that they carry at Earth Fair that is 100% organic cotton, or you can usually check with your local cosmetic stores. They carry a lot of organic cottons also, or you can order it online. Let's see here. Of course, tweezers for the small, pretty much adjusting your coils and also pulling the wires around. Then I also have this, which is a cell phone repair kit screwdriver. You can use a eyeglass repair screwdriver, or a lot of people like to use a 5/64 drill bit, or you can also use a it's a blunt tip thick sewing needle that is about the same gauge. Alright, that is that. I also have my trusty toenail clippers. The reason why I'm using toenail clippers, I do have wire cutters, but the wire cutters tend to dull a lot quicker. For some reason, the way that they build these industrial toenail clippers, they tend to last a lot longer. That I've also got my RDA ohm meter there. If you don't have an ohm meter, some of your variable voltage devices do have ohm checkers on them, like your iTaste MVP, the iTaste SVD, also the VTR, if you can put the extension on it, that ridiculous extension, and screw your RDA on top of it. If you don't have a variable voltage device that can check resistance or a RDA ohm meter, you can also use a multimeter. And some of you might be saying, what's a multimeter? Mine is kind of like a industrial size here, but they do sell like smaller ones at Walmart. But this does have a resistance checker here. I can put it on that, and it has these 2 leads. Oh, come on, work with me here. Right. It has these 2 leads here. This is the positive and the negative. The way that works is you hold it like this, take the bottom of your RDA there, touch the red one to the center pin, and then touch the black to the outside base of the RDA, and it will give you your resistance read, just like I am. If you can hold this to where you can see it. Alright, move my fat thumb there. Alright, and you can see it there. I've just touched it like that, and then it will tell me what my resistance is. Alright, if you do not have something that will read resistance, and you do not have a variable voltage device that is protected from running low ohms, I recommend not rebuilding anything until you have something that can check that, because that is a key in knowing what you are building and if it is safe or not to vape. So let's go ahead and I usually put my RDAs on my home checker here just due to it gives me a good building platform. As you can see there, I've got it screwed down on there and it kind of holds it in place to where I'm not fiddling around with it while I'm trying to feed the wires through. Alright, so let's see if we can get this going. And see if I can get this a little closer for you. Alright, so you can see that there. Alright, so now I'm going to take the Canthal wire and let's back this up a little bit. Okay. Now some people like to torch it, especially if you're using like 30 gauge or 32 gauge. 30 and 32 gauge tends to be a little springy. It doesn't like to keep form, so what a lot of people will do is they will take mini torch, cigarette lighter, propane torch. I don't recommend using a propane torch inside the house, but butane lighter or just a regular cigarette lighter, if you still have one laying around, they work just as well. And I'll show you what the best way to do, and what this is it's cauterizing the wire and kind of stiffening it up, getting all the impurities off the outside of it. Allows it to shape a little better. So I'm going to go ahead and show you, and you just want to get it glowing hot right through there. You can see that. We're done with that. Okay. And this is not the way that I started doing this, but it is to me it seems to be a lot easier. I like to wrap my coils around this and then attach it to my RDA and then wick it. You can take your silica and wrap the Canthal straight around it. It kind of helps keeping your resistance from getting too low. I can show you that way first, and then I'll show you with the other way of pre-making it and then wicking it. Right, so you see I'm taking the silica here and folded it 2 times, so I've got 3 strands of silica there, like so. Alright, we're just going to take this, pinch it in there with our thumbs, like so, and we're going to loop it. Just going to make one full loop, and you're just going to bring this leg right here over. And you want to keep them kind of evenly spaced. They don't have to be exact, but you do want to kind of keep them all at the same distance apart. That is the key to, getting a good resistant coil. If you got one loop that's bigger than the others, it can cause a hot spot in your coil, and also cause for that one to touch and ground out your coil, and cause for the resistance to go haywire or not read correctly. Alright, so as you can see, I just wrapped that around the silica. Focus. No, you can't see that. Can you? Can you see that? This is the worst part. Alright, there we go. You can see that there. It's wrapped around there 5 times. They're not all evenly spaced, but it is pretty easy to fix once you've got it all wrapped. You just take your fingernails like so and just slightly edge it in. If you kind of try to force it, it does fray the silica, but that's what you got there. Alright, so we've been through the wrapping the Kanthal wire around the silica there. Next thing I'm going to show you is how to make a pre-made coil and then wicking, and we'll kind of go through both, and then I'll show you how to attach them to the RDA. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do here is I've got my micro screwdriver and my Kanthal wire pre-torched. So go ahead and wrap this around. This is good if you want to make micro coils, or if you just want something a little neater and easier to clone to make dual coils. And what I mean by cloning there is whenever you're doing a dual coil, if you've got one that's slightly smaller or slightly off shape from the other one, you'll get pretty much one side that heats faster than the other, which causes one side to dry out a lot quicker and for you to get kind of like a mixed flavor with burnt taste. But as you can see, I've wrapped that around the screwdriver there like so, and then just kind of springed it together to get the coils to form kind of like a uniform shape. So I'm going to try and focus then on that so you can see how that looks. And there they are. And just slide your screwdriver out like so. And you've got a little pre-made coil there. Alright, so then now the next step is we're going to go through the process on both ways to attach it to the RDA. I'm just going to trim off the excess here. You want to leave 2 legs that are going to feed for your ground and your hot to your coil. That's really not. Alright, and once we've got our excess Kanthal trimmed off, and we have our pre-made coil here with the 2 legs coming off, you want to make sure that your screws that are going through your ground and hot post are loosened up to where you can see through the posts. I can see through the center, but not through the side. Loosen that up a little bit. Alright. And we're going to push that through kind of at the same time. Sometimes it can be a little quirky to get those through. There it is. Transverse. Alright, we got that one. Okay. That one. Well then, this is a demonstration of how not to do it. Alright, there we go. Now that we've got you through, we do want to tighten down just the ground post. Not too much, not to where it's going to. If you tighten it down too much, usually it'll snap the wire and break the wire off down in there. It causes it to have pretty much a loose leg, and it's not going to be very pretty much very secure. So I'm just going to fold this off to the side so that we can fit our other coil through. And this time I'm going to stick this piece through after I trim the excess off of it, like so. Alright, now that I've got the two even legs, I'm going to feed the ground side first, loosen the screw up. Oh, like butter. Alright, so I got those fed through. I've got my links. I can tighten down all three. Two. Now this is just a demonstration to show you how to do both ways. If you're going to do one way, I recommend doing it the same way on both. Because as you can see, one of my coils looks much bigger than the other. Once I get them straightened out, go ahead and trim my excess. Alright, once we've done that, I'm going to make sure all three legs are secure. Because if you got one of these screws that are loose, it will actually cause for it to short or not read correctly on one side, or cause one side to heat and not the other. Alright, so you want to make sure those are secure. I'm going to take my micro screwdriver and I'm going to twist. You can't see anything. Alright, so I'm going to twist this to where that is parallel to the other coil. Alright, now you can see, maybe. Alright, so you can see the coil on the wick is way more further spaced apart than the one that I've pre-made. So I'm going to go through and space those coils out. Using my dentistry pick tool. You can use a micro flathead screwdriver or anything that will help you get in between the coils and just kind of stretch on them, get them pulled out. Pretty much all we want to do is we just want to mimic the opposite side to where they both look identical. Which mine are not going to look that way due to that I am showing you two different methods on the same RDA. Like I said, don't replicate this, just I'm showing you two different methods at once. It is kind of confusing, but you can do one or the other, or you can try to mimic me. It's just, this is a lot harder. Alright, so I'm going to take a piece of silicone. And now I'm trying to slide this silica through that coil. It is nearly impossible. But what makes it a lot easier is I take an excess piece of Canthol and I will loop it through this end, like so. Fold it, and then you want to twist it. Pretty much to make these two legs form to one, almost like you're threading a piece of yarn, as you can see there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of Canthol, feed it through first. Then I just want to slightly hold my coil in place as I pull the silica through, like so. Then I can trim this piece off, take that out of there. Feed this to. Alright. Alright, so we want to make sure that the coils are far enough spaced away from the post to where they don't touch, because if they touch one of the posts, it can ground out and cause that side, like I said, to read incorrectly, or cause one side to heat up quicker than the other. Alright, so now that we've got both of our coils built on here, I'm just going to take and try to space out the coils on this side to look like this side. Alright, so maybe, yeah. Come on, work with me. Alright. So as you can see, maybe you could see, they somewhat replicate each other. And now I'm just going to trim off the excess silica, and we're going to check our resistance. Okay. Alright, so we're all trimmed, and secure. Alright, this is a, as you can see, there are no decimal points there, which this ohm meter here reads anything with 3 numbers without any decimal points. That means that the decimal is here before the 6, so that is a 0.6, that is 7 ohm coil. I would not fire this atomizer on anything but a 30 amp battery due to that it is safe to fire on that. You can run it on 0.6 can fire safe around 10 amps. It will get hot, it will get warm. I don't recommend it. I would recommend, if you are going to do it, make sure you are using a protected battery like the Sony or the MNKE, or I know that eFest has a new 30 amp battery out that is either 1600 or the new one that's 22 or 2400. The purple eFest battery that has a 35 amp discharge rate on it. But if you want higher resistance, you wrap a few more coils, say 6 to 8 wraps with 30 gauge will get you around the safe range of 1 ohm or higher. Or you can put the, or you can use a thinner gauge wire like 32, and with 5 to 6 wraps, it will keep you within the 1.5 to 1.8 range with dual coils. But the now that we've got that built, I'm going to go ahead and take this off here, and we're going to put some juice on it and have it vape. Alright, let's get back to the up close and personal here. Alright guys, we're back, and I've got the Nimbus here. This camera sucks. That rocked out at about 0.6. Like I said, I'm running it on a 30 amp battery, which is a safe range. And we're going to go ahead and put this together and drip it and see how it vapes. So, cap. Some of our Pirate 98% BG juice Calypso, which is a pineapple vanilla. It is delicious. It's one of my favorites. And I'm just going to go ahead and drip straight down through the top cap. Make sure that we get everything good and saturated. Just gonna wet that like so. Alright. You always want your first fill or saturation to be kind of a little on the excessive side. That way all of that cotton or silica will soak up most of that, just so that it doesn't dry out quickly. So I've got that saturated. I'm going to put this on my Bagua 18650. I'll show you I am running the MNKE. And you can't read that because this camera lets it up be closies. But there we go. MKE 0.6 dripped with some 98% BG. Muffler tip. We're ready to rock out. Let's have a vape. Yes. Works great. You are. Please feel free if you have any questions or anything about rebuildables or anything. You can contact me, like I said, at vapeslinger@gmail.com or through our page, the Vintage Papers Knoxville, at gmail.com also. Or you can, which way do I go? Call the phone number that is at the bottom of the banner there, and one of us will answer. That'll probably get you over to me. But let's keep on vaping and vape classy. Till next time.
Should I take my shirt off? Is that what we're missing here?